Hello, hello, everybody. Woo! I'm excited today to be live with a beautiful friend. Beautiful friend. Woohoo! So, today we're going to talk about our intuition and our superpower and our intuitive voice. A very hot conversation that everybody needs to hear because our intuition is our GPS. And I have today an amazing friend, a colleague. Her name is Silvie Celiz. She is the creator of Movebit Alchemy, but she also calls herself an intuitive disruptor. And she's going to tell us about what that is all about and why she uses this word and why she tells her students and clients that she's an intuitive disruptor and how that works in our electromagnetic field. So let's welcome Silvie. Give me a second. I'm going to call her in and we will start. Hi, Francis. Hi, everybody. Woohoo. Por ahí veo mi tío. I'm going to talk in Spanish. But anyways, let's welcome Silvie. Hi, Mary. I'm so glad to see you. Woohoo. Give me a second. There she is. How are ya?
Oh, I'm great. I'm great. I'm super excited, Joyce, to hang out with you and have a chat. And gosh, who knows what's going to happen.
So I welcome you to my space, which is your space, right? And well, I want to talk a little bit about our story first before we get into all the juicy stuff about intuition and consciousness. But Silvie and I go way back to elementary school. I mean, way back. And so her and we used to live in the same kind of community, right? And we used to just hang out all the time. And so Silvie sings, I sing. So we used to sing together. And I'm very good friends with her sister, Maril, and her mom. And it was just a beautiful, beautiful time in our lives. And now we came together and we're kind of on the same frequency and doing the same work with our own inner medicine. So tell me a little bit about you and how you all began, how you began.
Well, I mean, Joyce and I grew up in Miami together, right? So we are going to Spanglish it a little bit. It's going to happen because this happens when two Miami friends get together. So it's going to happen. That's for sure. How did I start on all of this? Oh my gosh, there's so many. I feel like your entire life has been divinely orchestrated to get you to where you are today.
Yep.
That's for sure. For me, since I was a little girl, I had a lot of supernatural, paranormal experiences and activity, and I was very, very drawn to it. I was so curious about these experiences and these abilities, and so I started playing with it. I started doing a lucid dreaming and astral traveling and experiencing whatever beings from that I would have contact with and see things beyond matter. And it was like a playground for me. And so instead of being scared of it, instead of sort of, going into a cocoon about it, I was like, bring it on.
Let's explore it. Let's explore it.
It was so much fun. Yeah, it was especially lucid dreaming was so much fun because I could create my own reality in dream world. And so after doing that for a while, I was a little girl. I was like 5, but I was having these experiences. So after a while, I started.
But that's when we're so open, right? Our brain waves are in like perfect state in the sense that we have no conscious mind at that space. So we don't doubt ourselves. We don't judge ourselves. We're in complete open space to experience our reality. We just kind of forget, right?
That's the space. Exactly. Well, that's what happens. And that's intuitive space. We are born with intuitive space completely open, where we have the ability to have access to multidimensional realities, to the core of our being, to experiencing beyond the physical, right?
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
having, that's what intuitive space is really all about, is the connection to the non-physical world. And so we have that until about 8 years old. We start to open up to an intellectual process,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Mm-hmm.
we're supposed to integrate both. But what happens in society is that we go to school and
Interferences, yeah.
yeah, we get 100% shut down with our intuitive space is completely suppressed. And then
Mm-hmm.
the only focus is intellectual development.
That's right.
Okay. And the more we focus on intellectual development at a young age, the more we stunned our intuitive development.
And we stun our creativity.
Exactly. Exactly. Because that's where it comes from. And
Mm-hmm.
so what happened was that in school, I did really, really bad because I was not open to my intellectual development. I would go and I would just continue to daydream, sit in the back of the class,
Yeah.
and I continued to develop my intuitive space. That's my story. You know, that worked for me. Like, that's what I did intuitively because I was so connected to that intuitive space and everything that came with that. So, I mean, cut to, leading my whole life, navigating my whole life through intuitive space has led me to next levels and next levels and next levels of myself,
Mm-hmm.
growing, overcoming every limitation that I had that was like a family system limitation, whether it was a societal, whether it was a, you know, mental block, whatever it was through intuition. And when I really understood that, well, when I became a mom is when it solidified. When I became a mom, like, it took me to the next
Next
level of
level.
the next levels. Yes. And then
Yeah.
after, you know, it's been 7 years. My son is 7 now. And I feel like my mission is to help others develop their intuition, because this is why everybody's stressed, anxious,
Mm-hmm.
depressed,
Yep.
annoyed, the
Mm-hmm.
triggers, the limitations, you know, the lack of knowing yourself, lack of authenticity,
Yeah.
the imbalance, the
Because
diseases, all of that.
yeah, and our intuition wants to be heard. We just don't give it the space to be heard, and it's because we have all this distraction, all this noise that's coming around, and so everybody's completely distracted. They're not connected to their inner truth. And I think that that's what's important that we're going to talk about today, because a lot of people, especially now with the collective and everything, that all the changes that are happening in the planet, the more connected you are to your voice and your intuition, the more your guidance system strengthens, and the more we are completely guided into the direction that we need to take. Is that
Absolutely.
right? So that's
Absolutely.
awesome. And
Yeah.
you had your son, how old were you when you had your son?
Um, when I had him, that was 7 years ago. I'm 40. I think I'm 46. I'm like, am I
I'm
46?
45.
I remember because we were a year apart. You were in Maril. Maril's my sister. You were
Yes,
in Maril's grade, but we had that singing connection. And
yes,
beyond that, we just had that intuitive connection together.
yes,
So we
yes.
used to connect
Always
all the
hang,
time. Yes.
always
Yeah.
hang out.
Look, one second. Yes. Ask that. It's in the backpack. Binoculars. My son.
So it's interesting because I had my child really young, my children very young. So by the age of 24, I had
Thank
my
you.
boys. And so once you have your kids really young, like for me, I could say that I was completely disconnected at that age. And I was having kids as I was disconnected, and I was kind of searching for that, or reconnecting to that intuition, okay, or that GPS, my guidance system. But
Mm-hmm,
I was
mm-hmm.
having children. So if you have children later in life, or at least you work through your shadow side, because I think, what do you think, Silvie, between what ages are a good shadow, when your shadow really shows up in your life? I mean, it could show up very much repetitively, but the 20s, the high school years, I don't know, there's so much shadow that we go through.
Well, I think shadows, you know, the more we develop the ego and we don't learn to develop the intuition where we actually work the shadow at,
Mm-hmm.
I feel that there's a point, there's certain markers, and
Yeah.
there's a marker at 30s. I know this because my, you know, Maril's an astrologer and we go through a lot of
Mm-hmm.
this. but I know there's a marker at 40, and not
Yeah.
just like in astrology or in like different kinds of ancient wisdom, different kinds of modalities. I know that at 40, 42, where people say that you have the Kundalini rising, or where you have the, the midlife crisis. I know that at that point, you go into a deeper dive of yourself and start to question your life and your reality and
Of
who you
course.
are, and have you been, what, like you go back and you're like, okay, well, what's going on within me? Like, you kind of face yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, intuitive space allows you, for example, for me in my 20s, intuitive space, my GPS, it allowed me to channel the information to find my husband. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I had this vision. I had a vision where I saw him. And then all of a sudden I said, no, I came to this live to reunite with him and to work with him. I have to, that became my mission in my 20s. And I literally left, like I moved across the country because I got coordinates. I got like literally like, this is where, this is how, da, da, da. And that's my husband and I, we've been together for almost 20 years now.
It's
And
amazing.
I know now, like, I remember that when we came together, then I knew that we came together to have our son.
Yeah.
Like, it's so deep, it's so magical, beautiful, but it makes so much sense. Like, magic is comprehensible. Like, it has a
Mm-hmm.
plan. Like, it's all laid out, and you are a part of that designer, and you forgot.
You forgot. It's a technology that is within us that we need to
Absolutely.
recognize it and listen to it, because it's very, I mean, the more I, I untangle myself from my stories that are harmful, let's say, or that are covering that potential, the more I can clearly listen to my intuition. And it's unbelievable. It's every minute, Sylvie. I don't know if it happens to you. It's every second that you think, oh my God, look, let's listen, let's hear. There's something showing up in front of you. You gotta listen. But in order to do that, you gotta quiet yourself down.
Absolutely. You got to silence that mind. Entonces, for that reason, you have to understand what is intuitive space and what is intellectual space. So
Correct.
we live in an information-based reality. Everything is information. We process information through an information system that's built in, like you're talking about, the
In our
technology is
avatar.
within us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So two ways to process information are intuitively and intellectually.
Correct.
However, you have to understand what intuitive space processes, how it process. It has its role, and
It's
then
got our own method, and it's not with rules or anything. It's different.
it's
Our mind is
abstract.
the one that gives us that. Our
Well,
mind is the one that kills it.
well, the mind is all of it. Intuitive space is
Mm-hmm.
also the mind, as you know, but it's the intellectual process has certain qualities, and these qualities are
Mm-hmm.
of judgment, comparison, assessing, um, analyzing
Criticizing.
data.
Mm-hmm.
It's made to do that. It's wonderful because we need that for our lives at some points, but we don't need to live there. And because in the school system we're so pushed since like kindergarten to develop our intellectual side and not even know anything about our intuition, so then we focus to live and operate, navigate our lives via the intellectual space.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why we're like constantly comparing ourselves, judging ourselves, other people, like assessment. We're constantly like comparing, that whole thing happens. Why? Because we're processing information from intellectual space. Pero intuitive
That's,
space is not, it doesn't do that. I know.
I love it. I love it.
I love it. I know, me too. It doesn't do that. Intuitive space is all about receiving information from the universe, from the databases. Some people call that Akashic records or whatever.
Quantum
And
fields. There's
from
so many ways.
source,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, straight from source. And you can access
Mm-hmm.
your whole data stream from intuitive space. Intuitive space holds so much. It's the core of your being. It's the authentic expression. Emotions are at an intuitive space. It's a feeling space,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
right? As you know that,
And that's how we manifest also, because we need to,
that's right.
that is our vocabulary.
That's right.
That's our
Exactly.
vocabulary.
And our vocabulary is no language. It's exactly, it's
It's no
feelings.
it's a vibration. It's a
It's
feeling.
it's an inner knowing, right? You just know.
Mm-hmm.
You just receive. I receive data in chunks. Sometimes I receive it like mixed, visual,
Yep.
audible. Sometimes it's just like I just know
Hmm.
this entire piece of information. I just know that. I don't know why,
Absolutely.
but you don't question it. The one that questions is the intellect. The
Correct.
one that doubts is the intellect, because the intellect is designed to assess, analyze, all that jazz.
Yeah. And
However,
that's why we stop ourselves so much, because we're always thinking and analyzing everything and why instead of feel. Bring your consciousness down into your toroidal force and just expand yourself outward and feel the vocabulary. And that's different. Then you download it and you really anchor it.
that's right,
Yeah.
exactly.
And it is a vocabulary. It is a library. I always tell everybody, we all have this potential to access this data. It's files and files of knowledge, of infinite lifetimes of information and things that we are living. And you and I could have been in other multidimensional levels currently, timelines, because you and I are living that childhood experience that we had with your mom and Maril and everybody, you know? But and
Totally.
now in the future of ourselves, we are living a whole different expression, expressing that wisdom that has already been there, but now we recognize it even more. It's like
Totally.
we go through stages, you know?
And you know what gets
Yes, it will
confusing?
be recorded. Yes, it'll be recorded, guys. I'm
Okay,
going
good.
to save it and we're going to post it on our YouTube channel, and Sylvie's going to post it on hers.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay?
Yes.
So yes, yes.
You know what's really gets people confused, or anybody for that matter, I'm, including myself. It's our physical character, our
Our
personality,
personality.
our storyline,
Yeah.
the whole like, oh, I'm Silvie Celiz. No, I'm not Silvie Celiz. I'm
No.
playing Silvie
That
Celiz.
role. Mm-hmm.
I'm playing Silvie Celiz, but that's not who I am. I am consciousness. I'm an individual unit of consciousness. And so to keep that big picture is a huge asset.
Huge thing. Yeah.
Huge. To develop that intuitive space so that you can work at that level all the time, it's a huge asset in so many levels, especially when it comes to relationships. And I'm not talking about relationship with your spouse or with your partner. I'm
No, your
talking about
friends,
with
your
your
colleagues,
children.
everything, your children, everything, your
Yeah,
parents.
your parents. Yeah, like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it's so amazing. And the only reason why we're here in this reality, physical reality, we interact with each other on
Yes.
so many levels, including this physical level that has its own biology and it has its own mechanism, like
And yeah.
instinct, because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes people confuse intuition and instinct. It's not the
Yeah.
same
Oh, I
thing.
was just telling Claudia that today. We were
Oh
just
yeah.
talking about that. Yeah. The difference between
Estamos
instinct and
sincronizados.
that physical action of the instincts, you see? And it's completely different.
Completely different.
It's a total different thing.
The instinct is a quality of the biology.
Mm-hmm.
It's a
Mm-hmm. It's a
physical thing.
physical. Yep.
100%. And intuition is a quality of consciousness.
Absolutely.
It's a
Vibration,
non-physical thing.
frequency. And
Yeah,
it's connected to the whole.
exactly.
So it's even more powerful because that guidance system, it's like a regular GPS. It's taking you to certain roads and so forth. But if you understand that technology is a complete natural aspect that we carry within, it takes us to our next step, our next destiny, and our higher potential. Lo que pasa es, there goes the Spanish. What happens is
¿Qué
that,
pasa? Dímelo.
dímelo todo en español en inglés. What happens is that we're not listening, and so we become so intellectual, so conscious mind that we want to force things and do it on a physical level. And that's where the chaos and the distortion happens. When we bring in that physical capability of us to make things happen, and that's not how the universe works. It doesn't work that way, because the magnetic energy of our energy field is, bring it on, honey, by natural synchronicity. It doesn't really have to be forced. Ay caramba. Ay caramba. Yes.
You know what happens? Ay, qué linda. Mi mami está acá. Mami, love you.
Hi, Mary. How are you? Wonderful family. I always tell my, like Claudia, who knows you all, that when we went to California to visit, and we had a great time. All of you are very on the same conscious level. You all practice the same habits, behavior. You guys are all different, but you guys are in that consciousness level. It's a beautiful thing to watch. You guys are all soul family for sure, and not all families are soul families. Okay?
No.
Not all families are soul families.
No.
Not all blood families are soul families. That's what I wanted to say.
Bueno, we were really blessed that my mom was the sort of soul leader, that she led from spirit.
Yes.
And led us
Yes.
all into our spirit, which is what I like doing, or
I love
consciously do with my son, is lead from spirit into his spirit, right? Entonces,
Yes.
my mom really followed her calling
Absolutely,
into her curiosity. She always, said, follow that curiosity. She wants to know why. She questions everything, and she taught us to question everything. And we went on that journey with her in her spiritual journey. And it sort of put the seeds for us. But we also came with our thing. And I really feel it was a source team. Like, it was a team play. It was a team play.
Yes, it was. It is.
And what I was going to say before is that the thing with the intellect, and I love the intellect, the point, the main goal is to integrate both. That's the point, to be whole being.
Fuse it.
Exactly. Fuse it. But the thing with the intellect, this is a very limited information system. In other words, it doesn't ever have enough information in order to make the best choice.
That's right.
So why do we use the intuition? Because intuitive space, we access all the fields of all possibilities, probable futures, because it's a probabilistic reality. And we feel which one is the best outcome for our journey, for our spiritual development, and we bring that information in. We bring more information. For example, things like, who I'm going to marry, what job am I going to take, do I move to that state or not? Like, all these questions, okay? You can draw more information in intuitive space and make a more, let's just say, a higher profitable choice, because you have more information to make a better choice. And this life is all about choices. You make a choice, you get a result. You make a choice, you get a result. Our future, our present came from the choices we made in the past. And then our future is coming from the choices we make today. Entonces, how amazing is it to be so in tune and draw more information from an information system that is designed to do that?
And you know what I would love to add to what you're saying is that the intuitive space and your intuition, that guidance system, is so powerful that you can actually have this relationship with it. Okay. And literally have conversations, like actual, verbalization, communicating. Is this what I want? What this like dynamic where your intuition is telling you a yes or no. It's a dance. It's a flow, right?
It's a flow.
And so if you flow with this intuition, you know what you desire, because in my book I write this: the soul knows.
Yes.
The soul knows. So no matter what is going on in your life, I always tell my clients, your soul knows. Oh no, but I don't know. These are limbo words. I don't know, maybe. These words shouldn't even be in your vocabulary, because they're intellects, right? You're trying to defend yourself in a moment. But
exactly,
if you really, really dive in and delve into your intuition, it tells you yes or no very clearly, very clearly. If you have a doubt, it's a no. Right?
Yeah.
So do you think that?
Yeah. And I mean, we have to really know how to separate intellectualizing it or really drawing information from the intuition. So for example, with the intellect, it's a you have a specific dialogue that goes into your head. But with intuition, you don't do that. You just receive it. You just ask and it is shown to you. You ask and then you receive. You receive, you receive, you receive. And then it's still your choice to make that choice.
It's still your choice, your free will.
It's still your choice. You still have that free will to,
Absolutely.
and that this is, and my favorite thing is this, like I ask the question, I receive the information. Then once I have the whole enchilada information, okay, then I can use my intellect to assess it. Why? Because the intellect does that. You know, and then plan. You can't plan without the intellect. The intellect plans, but the one that executes is going to be with your intuition. Because you're going to go into, you know this, into a field of all possibilities, right? And you can't see past. Sometimes you don't question. You don't question. And the reason why people get stuck in doubt, it's because they are questioning and they're bringing in their intellect. I go like this. It's not here. It's not here.
No, it's not even here. It's here.
It's like everywhere. It's everywhere.
It's a substance. It's a substance.
Right. It's like,
it's not in your brain, actually. It's not. People think, oh, the brain. No, the brain is just a processor. It's just a satellite. Boom, 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 boom. It brings it in and it translates. But really, it's more of like, I would say, some people say it's in the heart. Well, you can feel it in your gut, in the bottom of your here, but it's a knowing. It's your consciousness telling you, no. So cool.
Yeah,
so
totally.
Awesome.
It's amazing.
So yeah, and I wanted to add, the vibration is very important for your intuition as well, because your vibration, a lot of people, everybody's talking about, well, you are 3D, 5D, 3D, where are you? Well, it's really, there's no special destination. You might go from 3D to 5D. So your vibration will also, the clearer you are, the more meditation, you eat really healthy foods as well, the nutrition, your thought process, your wording, everything clears out your field so that your intuition becomes more heightened, right?
It's like a signal, right? We talked about the signal. So the signal gets more clear. Like as you're less toxic in your body, because it's a signal. Because the truth is that we're not really here. We're just picking up a signal. And so this, and it sounds so fantasious, right? It sounds so like bizarre, but that's because we've been conditioned to live a life it's a half reality. It's not a big picture.
It's a material life. We were conditioned to live material.
Like this is where this physical being, and that's it. Yeah, like that's who I am, this physical being. But the moment that you begin to go beyond that physical experience and to enter the non-physical reality, which is actually what creates the physical world, then you're expand so much your mind, because all in all it's all mind. But you start to see things different. Your lens changes, right? Your lens changes. So then you start to realize that this is just one part. Is one part. And why do we have physical bodies? Because we're here to grow, and this physical body and this physical life gives us context.
And it gives us an expression. It allows the consciousness to express itself.
And to interact at a deeper dive. It allows us to understand.
If not, we wouldn't be able to feel. We feel in our body. So it's like our body moves, our consciousness is, expressing itself through our avatar.
Bueno, for a long time too, I was under the impression that we do feel with our bodies, but we're really feeling with consciousness. It's just that this is such a high, sophisticated technology that we think that we're feeling it here.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's in our consciousness. But if this helps us, like I said, context, to understand, to deepen ourselves into the information, and most of all into our growth, then whatever you want to use, whatever tool you want to use. Like I use a dance dance meditation. Some people use crystals, some people use Reiki, some people use like breath work. The point is to focus your intention. Whatever is going to help you focus your intention, that's it. That's fine. So that doesn't mean that it's the tool. It's not the tool. It's your intent, your ability to focus your intent. So, but you get to pick what tool, if you want, you can use to focus your intent. And then once you get to a point where you don't need any tools.
You don't.
But it's also fun to use some tools. Yes. You
don't, because you actually, the more you practice, because intuition is also a practice. I think that you need to practice it, grow it.
Absolutely.
The more you're more clear, and the more you are aware of it, the more it grows, the more you strengthen it, right? It's a muscle.
It's like exactly.
It's a muscle.
It's just as
it's
above,
like working
so below,
out.
no?
You work out to connect with it. But you got to bring it to the awareness of the here and the now and the presence, because if you're so much in your past and so much in your future, you have no time to feel. You have no time to be here. And you can't tune in or tap in if you're elsewhere. You're tapping into realities that are not even existing for you right now. So yeah, you got to strengthen that muscle to really, everybody right now is in this like mission to find themselves. You're there. You're not lost. You just got to turn it on. And the way you turn it on is by being in the present moment and really being here and now and connecting to that feeling through all the tools that we were just speaking about. Any tool that resonates with you is fine.
Any tool that resonates.
She does movement. I do spiritual divorce. Everybody's got their own technology.
Everybody
we're all part of that cell where consciousness expressing ourselves.
That's right, exactly. Como tú dices, your own medicine, whatever that is.
Whatever
and
medicine
can also change. Like
it changes, absolutely.
As you evolve, you also change whatever tools you use, and then maybe you go back to others that you used before or whatever. That happens too.
Or you do something you've never learned before because it's already there, right? And this happens a lot. Again, accessing data that you can access, I can access, is just being alert and aware that you can pull in information that doesn't even exist on this planet. When I work I do healing, a lot of healing, and I do deep soul healing, and I bring in even medicine that just, I command it and it comes through. And it's not even a physical thing. It's just like, whew, it goes right through. So what are some of these tools? Let's share some of these tools.
All right. Oh, well, when we say tools, for example, look, the point to get to intuitive space is to silence the mind, right? To be in the present moment, just in the abstract, non-linear reality, where you are just, and here's what I was going to say. Me acabo de acordar, I just remembered that I was going to say that what prevents most people to come to the present moment is because at the truth of their being, they're scared to meet themselves.
Absolutely. Ooh.
Okay. Yeah. Entonces, that's one of, and sometimes we don't even realize it, but there's so much fear that we don't want to see it. We're like, no, put a little curtain, una cortina, keep it in the back.
We don't want to show up for ourselves. We don't want to show ourselves. So we're doing for others instead of doing for ourselves.
Bueno, it's easier, right? Because it's sometimes it's hard to see and accept our shadow, our all of our distortion, all of the things that we ourselves judge about ourselves, that we are ashamed of, that we don't feel like it's worthy, that we or that we just don't even want to go back to.
We don't want to face it. So we put it away,
right?
And we just bury it somewhere, but it's there because
it's there.
Still, the vibration is continuously emanating information, even though it's buried. You think because your intellect puts it away, but it's there and it's still expressing out.
Yeah, and that's the thing, that the intellect has been hijacked by the ego, and the ego serves the fear. So it's all very interconnected. And so what happens is that when you're just in the whole ego intellect, you act like you're this person you think you should be, that you think that people will like, or that you think you have to be in order to be accepted, or that you can belong. and that you think that you want to be. All of those things, that's not who you are. But
No.
that's what keeps you in that fear. So the sooner you face the fears and accept all of that, the sooner you're going to be free. And you're going to be
So
free
good.
to be
That word
yourself.
free.
Feels so good.
You said
Feels
it
so
so
good.
well. Free. It's like
Free,
you just
yes.
take off. Let's take off our clothes right now.
I don't have anything.
Our energetic clothing is what we need to take off.
Sí,
That's what
exactly.
we have to take off.
It's what we call the image. Es una imagen. It's an image. It's just an image. It's not really who you are, right?
Yeah, because
and that's
people
why it's hard
identify
to be
themselves with their
authentic.
personality. People that identify themselves with their personality, and it's not. It's like you said. It's not your name. It's not what you wear. It's not your size. It's not what you have. None of that. It's all false. It's a false illusion. But it's interesting. It's interesting to integrate.
Absolutely. And I kind of cut it off and we didn't get to the tools, but what we mean by tools, whoever asked that question was, so the point is to bypass that image, to go into that sort of nonlinear, abstract silence, right? To be in that space that some people, call the point zero, quantum, whatever it is.
Neutral, yeah.
Yes, 0 point. I have dyslexia, so I always flip everything, which is another superpower of mine because it's part of very like intuitive. I've noticed that a lot of people who are super intuitive and they develop a lot of intuition, they have this sort of dyslexic type of situation. People call it dyslexia, but it's something else. But anyways, so when you want to get there, you can get there meditation. But meditation can be breath work, can be like just listening to the binaural beat, right? The entrainment. It can be my medicine is dance meditation, is movement. It could be some people when they're doing sports,
anything any focused thought. Yeah, you watch. Oh, I meditate all the time.
Your meditation, you drop in.
Hablando,
you're like,
ya que hablaste en español, hay unas personas que quieren que lo hagamos en español. Lo vamos a hacer en español también. Este espacio mío lo voy a convertir en algo bilingüe porque tengo como dos audiencias. I have English and Spanish, so we're going to do this again, Silvie, in Spanish for some people that are like, hey, I want Spanish. So YouTube will be in Spanish with subtitles. So we got it. Everybody's back.
We're going to experiment. We're going to play and have fun.
Yeah. Yes.
So when we say choose your tools, some people, for example, when they're doing healing on themselves, or they can use, they're like, no, I use the crystals. No, I use the Reiki. No, okay, I use the, whatever, there's many modalities, NLP, reprogramming the this, or
spiritual divorces.
Spiritual divorces, of course.
Movement alchemy. You have your own
alchemy. Yes. That I developed. Well, we'll talk about that in a little bit. But anyways, whatever your what's gonna get you to that point, entonces that's gonna be your tool. Whatever will that be.
There's no rule for the tool, right?
There's
the most important thing is, especially like, and you can talk about your technique, right? With movement, anytime you're moving, or anytime you're breathing, or anytime you're meditating, or if you're laying down, what you're doing is actually slowing down your brain waves. And that is the key to tapping into your subconscious. So those are the tools that allow you to transform your paradigm, okay? So, traditional therapy, I studied psychology and all of that goodies, but sometimes I feel like talking therapy needs a little extra push, and that's why I got into energy work, because we need to go deep. We got to go into the soul, that register, your register, my register. And if you do movement, it's powerful. You shake it all off.
Well, okay,
cry it all off.
That's intuitive space. All of those modalities, all, spiritual divorce, my movement alchemy, breath work, transcendental meditation, binaural beats. All of that is to focus your intent in silencing the mind and getting to that intuitive space. Whichever one you resonate with, pick one, do it for at least 6 months. Like, you have to develop that practice. And then once, with my mentor, it was always indicated that don't stay somewhere. Like, once you've you've developed one, you think you're a master at a type of tool, meditation, then challenge yourself and do it different. You know, like
Jump
the
to the
point
next.
is, the point is to be like, let's, you know, how he would say it is like, be in the middle of in a bus full of children with your eyes open, and you're in meditation, you're into a space. Because that's why for me, motherhood is my life is meditation. I don't just go and do it because I've developed it so much. I don't just go like, oh, hold on a second, I have to go in a quiet space, it has to be like this, I have to sit down, that's too much. I don't have time for that. I have a really busy life and a very active life with my son that's 7, who is like the Energizer Bunny. So I developed this practice, Movement Alchemy, because I had to be drop in a second. Like that's what got me to drop in so fast. But then I developed it to the point that I don't even have to do it. I do it because I love it, but I just know how to just drop in already because I'm already practiced, and I push myself to go beyond that.
And the more you practice dropping in, which is going into that state, changing your brain waves, you can even do it when your eyes are open. Sometimes, no, most of the time, you can be in an altered state, even with your eyes open. And that's how you shift your vibration. That's how you know that you've shifted. I think someone asked about that. How do we know we're in that state? How do we know that point of neutrality?
Okay, I'll give my take, and then if you want, you
okay,
give yours.
go ahead. Let's do it.
We both do it. Okay, so in my perspective and experience, even though, you know, I use my body as a gateway, and I love it, it's my favorite. I'm very much aware that this is a computation. My body's a computation. Like so I focus on consciousness. So what you're doing basically is you're not processing any sense data anymore. The moment that you don't process the sense data, boom, you're in.
That's it. You're in.
You're in. You
hacked it.
So,
we hacked it.
Yeah, it's exactly. And when you get really into doing that fast, like not processing sense data, you start to learn how to integrate and do something called parallel process, which is that you can do both. You can be in 2 places at the same time, but that takes a lot of practice. However, what's really, really important is that when you're not processing the sense data of the senses, you can still hear, you can still see, you can you can still use your senses, but you choose not to process the information. Just like
it doesn't go into your feeling.
You don't engage in it, you don't entertain it, you are aware, but it's sort of like distant, but you're not processing it, because everything is a processing system, processing information. So the most important thing, just like, for example, when people get really triggered and they get affected, like, ay, me hiciste esto, or like, you did this to me, or, you know, they get triggered, you don't have to, you can actually choose in your consciousness to be unemotionally available, to be shamed or to be triggered or to be annoyed, because you know that when that happens, it's because your interpretation was negative. You take responsibility that you know it's within you.
It's within you. Nothing's outside of you.
That's
so
right.
All these triggers are basically memories that are still wounded that need to be rescued, basically, you know, because something that happens in your reality now, it's not really happening in your reality. It's something that happened that is twirling around still that activates that situation. So it's very important to be aware also of those shadows that come through. Show up for yourself, confront them, be in the present so that it doesn't keep repeating over and over and over and over, because things come back when you have unfinished business. So, you know,
absolutely. And I love that. I know
and
you
who
do that
doesn't
with
have
spiritual
unfinished business?
With spiritual divorces. I know that you do that. You have your own
that's the protocol.
Totally to do that. And with
it's untangling those distorted frequencies from your past that left data, and they're still communicating into your system. So just pull them out so that you can switch and transform the data into that love. Like we go from fear to love. That's the only thing that we can do.
And I
right?
love this, Joyce. I love this because, for example, there's a coffee bean, there's a Starbucks. People think that you have to be in competition. No.
No.
Look at Joyce. Joyce has spiritual divorces. Basically, she does this almost the same thing that I do. I have Movement Alchemy, but we have our own flavor. We have, and we can work together. This is love. Love is cooperation. Love is community, is compassion, empathy, is unity, right? We come together, we support each other. You know, I do in MoveBit, we do, what is MoveBit? We move the information because bit is information. So what we're doing with our imagination, with our intention,
And
we move the information. Dance meditation is one of the tools, not all the tools, but that's my favorite. I love it. But what we're doing is we're moving information and we're transmuting the information into a different frequency, a different vibration, a different signal.
Releasing it out of your data field, because
exactly.
If not, it's just
and we
affecting you and distorting your reality with the orchestra of vibrations that orchestra of data that we're carrying around.
Absolutely. And one of the main things that we practice, that we really like work on, like with my clients and in my mentorship, is how to interpret reality. How to interpret reality and be prepared, what your response, how do you respond to the interactions of others in your relationships, understanding what is exactly happening. This is how you optimize your relationships.
Absolutely.
So you understand what level of negativity or positivity you are in order to interpret the data that's coming into your field, right? Entonces, I love that. That's one of my favorite things. And I do that, and I know you do that with spiritual divorces también.
I have the discovery session.
How beautiful.
Yeah, I have a part in the beginning part of like the whole therapy is the discovery session, which is like you become the detective of all your situations. And I love to analyze all of that, because then we can understand those patterns, we can understand the repetitive, the disruptions, and all of that jazz, como dices tú, that is interrupting your presence and that reality, because everyone's like, I want to live that highest potential. But how can you live that highest potential if you're covered with all this kind of stuff, all this noise, and listening to all this news and all this junk that is disrupting your beautiful consciousness? I mean, that beautiful transmission that has no news, nothing, none of that. Like you said at the beginning of this live, all this information that is being bombarded to us, stop listening to that stuff. Listen to your voice.
Totally.
And if it's hard because you think it's hard, doesn't matter. Fake it till you make it. Fake it till you feel it. We all have an intuition. Everybody has it. People are like, oh, but I'm not intuitive. Oh, I'm not psychic. No. Eso es un desarrollo. It's a development.
Absolutely. It's not that everybody has it. Everybody has both intellectual and intuitive. The thing is that it's not developed. The intuition is not developed. Mira, how long have we been since kindergarten developing our intellect? Of course we're going to be like masters at it. Of course we're going to be operating mostly out of it because that's all we know. Of course. Pero if you start to develop your intuition, which is there, dormant, is waiting, like, okay, of course it's going to come out. You just have to do it and be patient, because it's not going to happen overnight, obviously, because you've been doing this since you were in kindergarten, the intellectual part, no? So
you have to decode yourself.
Consistent.
You got to decode yourself and reprogram all of that. And everyone's programmed. Everyone estamos programados. We're all programmed. You just got to have awareness. That's it.
Totally. Oh, yeah. And what I was going to say with you brought up the word disruptor, and you were saying at the beginning that I call myself an intuitive disruptor. Entonces, I'm going to tell you why. Because to operate and navigate life out of your intuition is disruptive.
It is.
Because most everybody is operating and navigating out of intellect. Most everybody. One of the top like 3 top diseases, or top like, things that create illnesses and imbalances in our world and here, stress, cortisol levels, anger. I mean, which is all like really just So
regret.
that's why to operate and to be like, to develop that intuition, to operate out of intuition is in itself disruptive. You are going to disrupt
Absolutely.
what has been going on for decades, and what keeps being encouraged, and what keeps being fed to you, and what keeps being like, this is all you got to nurture. So it is disruptive to be intuitive and to develop intuition. And that's why, hence, the intuitive
And
disruptor.
also, I want to add those tools that we do and that many people are doing are also disruptors, because we come in to facilitate information for you, but you're doing the work, and we're going to go into your distortion and change your pattern so that you can help yourself and change the pattern, because a lot of people are operating in subconsciously all the time, subconsciously. Nobody's conscious, at least half the time. Everybody's operating
Automatic,
automatic
automatic.
and automatic. And that is the problem. That's why everybody's, bueno, nos levantamos. If you start to be conscious and say, okay, what am I doing in the morning? There's things that you do. Some people even drive automatically. They're not even there because of their phones. So imagine those behaviors. You brush your teeth every morning. It's an automatic response already because it's so repetitive. Well, transformation is the same thing. Repetitive, positive gasoline into your to bring it in. Yeah, to bring it in. So this is cool. I can be here for hours, Silvie, and talk.
I know.
More and more.
Let's see what there's. Think there's some questions, but I don't know how to bring it down.
No, and you can tell us your questions. Write your questions, and if you want us to talk about more stuff, we can go back. We can do more lives.
There's one right there, but I don't know. I don't know how to.
Let me see.
Oh, here, because my.
Let's see. Let's look. Let's look. Any other? Let's see if there's any more questions. No sé. Let's see. But I'm nothing because I can trust my brain. Oh, look at this. I know that I know nothing because I can't trust my brain.
Bueno, I would say that's also a program.
It's a program, but we have to trust our intuition, our feeling, ourselves. We have to recognize our technology within, definitely.
Claro, and the thing is, like, when you're saying I can't trust my brain, so already that tells me that you are seeing yourself mostly as a physical being and defining your identity as a physical being, and your brain is just a computation. It's not really
interpreter.
It has a biology, but it's not giving you a dialogue. Your brain is not giving you a limiting belief. No, that's your consciousness. That's your, it's a non-physical, your non-physical self. It's that kind of content that you have to work through and really, with your intent, get rid of it and really question it. Like, where is it coming from? It's not coming from your brain. It doesn't work like that. It's all consciousness.
It's all consciousness. It's like
that's the work.
Yeah, that's the work. That's the work.
Going in deep.
I think that, I mean, I don't even know if we still have time. It's almost 9. So it is so important to hack your mind, understand your emotions, understand your stories, really connect to your vocabulary, your orchestra of information, and tap in to your intuition, because it is your superpower, people. It is your superpower. The more you use your intuition and the less you are involved in outside tools to give you the answers, you will hack and live heaven on earth, really, because you can live heaven on earth. What is it? Somebody's saying something.
I will just quickly name a few of the things that when you're in intuitive space, you get to work specifically in intuitive space. You get to work with these. These are things that actually are worked at intuitively, not intellectually. They have to be worked intuitively. One of them is healing. Healing is an intuitive quality. Okay, it doesn't happen on an intellectual level. It happens on an experiential feeling level, because that's where it came from. That's where it started.
That's where it
So
recorded, yeah. Mm-hmm.
healing happens in an intuitive space. Channeling information, receiving psychic abilities, all that happens in intuitive space, of course, obviously, right? But also relationships are done intuitively. Why? Because when you're feeling something, and emotions are as well, you don't think about getting angry. You get angry.
Mm-hmm.
You don't
Mm-hmm.
think about reacting or connecting or feeling. You just do.
Mm-hmm.
It's at the core of your being. It's authentic expression space. That's intuitive space. So if we want to build our emotional intelligence, we have to develop intuition and work our emotional intelligence at that level in order
Mm-hmm.
to really enhance it and really master it. So that's going to be an intuitive space. And that's why I love intuitive space, because there's so much to work. And then my favorite, overcoming fear. Fear
Mm.
is at the being level. It's in intuitive space. You don't think about okay, intellectually, I'm going to get rid of this fear. It doesn't work like that, because it has a very little,
It has a
it's very,
chemistry behind it. You have to
yeah,
release the chemistry.
yeah, you have to really use that intent. The
Mm-hmm.
intention is actually more powerful at the intuitive space. So in order to overcome fear and accept yourself, you have to do it on an intuitive level.
Absolutely,
So
yeah.
look at all this amazingness that comes from intuitive. This is why we say that it is a superpower, and it's, for me, it's an asset.
It is. I
It's
love.
a worth investing asset, period.
And the more we work at it, the more we clean ourselves up, the more we create a ritual practice every day, the more we meditate, whatever form of meditation you do, it's specifically movement or tuning yourself down or relaxing or riding your bike, whatever it is that you do, the more you have time to silence yourself. Hey, my husband's on. Hi.
Hi, Eddie.
Hi, Eddie, Impact Marine Detailing. I love you. The more we're in that space, Silvie, the more we can hear the voice of truth.
Absolutely. Yes, amen. So be it, so it is.
Yeah. Aho. Woo, woo,
Oh,
woo. So, to wrap it up, I think that we could definitely, start another conversation, which we will. We can
yeah.
do this in Spanish as well, and we can talk about more things. We'll have Maril on next time if you want, all three of us jumping in,
Oh my
having
gosh. Yeah, that'd be,
conversations. That would be powerful. She could talk
yeah.
to us about astrology and she's always been into astrology.
Yeah, well,
Desde que yo
she's,
la conozco, de los 15 años, she's always been into astrology.
yes, yes,
Powerful,
yes,
powerful.
yes. She's a life purpose coach. So she's a
Right.
life coach. And also she's an astrologer. So she brings all these different beautiful skills and gifts and intuition that she also brings in
Yeah.
to all
I like the
together.
way, yeah, I told her do the chart complete. She's like, listen, I coach you through astrology.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what she does. She coaches
Yeah.
us and she brings the astrology in it, but
Yeah.
she's very intuitive as well. And astrology is really a beautiful art. It really
It's
is.
a
Like,
tool. Hmm.
it brings a tool. Exactly. It's just another beautiful tool that we've got, so that we can deepen ourselves
And you
and
get to know yourself, and
yeah.
you have awareness. I have a lot of the times astrology gives you information before things can twist, let's say, that you can take to your advantage. It's not a predictor, and it's
No, it's not.
something that tells you this is how you came onto this earth with these certain vibrations where you need to work on this and this and this. So it's a very incredible tool to understand that it really helps align you even more. I mean, there's so many tools, right?
There's so many tools, and
Oh my
a lot of
God.
it, there's so many levels, because with astrology I feel that I've been listening to Maril speak on astrology since she was 15, and I see, in my personal observation, I see that there's a lot of storylines that come with that.
Mm-hmm.
You maybe, like, as a, before you came here, you're like, okay, what all of us are here to grow spiritually. All of us are here to lower our fear, become more love. All of us. We all have the same purpose. But we came here to do it the way to do it. We have our own a little theme, our
Mm-hmm.
individual personal theme. And that's another thing maybe we can talk another day, that everybody wants to
That's
have the
a
same
good that's a
thing, eat
good
the same
topic.
thing.
It's like
Yeah.
it's like a recipe. We have our ingredients. So that's a good topic to talk about.
Yeah, well, astrology, I think, is a wonderful tool that actually helps you to see some of those themes that you kind of fall into. That, like, if you had to pick an Earth package before you come to Earth, and
Yeah.
you're like, yeah, okay, we have 12 available and combinations within the 12, something like that, and
It
then
kind of
and
is,
then you're
right? It's
like,
like,
oh, how
I
about, oh,
want to
you want
try
to be
that.
together? Yeah, you're like, me and my husband are like, okay, you and me, we're gonna team up, let's do this together. And then you want to be in our, okay, let's all go to, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
that,
then
yeah,
there's,
soul contract.
then there's, let's do that kind of that theme. Okay, that, because I'm gonna do some YouTube series that I have planned
Even
for
the
some of these
abuse, even
themes.
even the hardcore stuff comes like that.
Oh, absolutely. Like, it's
Mm-hmm.
so synchronistic. Like, again, divinely
Mm-hmm.
orchestrated. I was looking into our north nodes with my family, my son and my husband. And I was telling Maria, I'm like, this is wow. Like, it gave me a lot of really amazing information, but it's the interpretation that is
Yeah,
really gonna do it. Like, you gotta have a certain, that this is why Muriel's is so great at what she does, is because she's interpreting what she sees, which is an intuitive thing. Okay, she
mm-hmm. It
brings
is.
her intuition, right? And so with your own intuition, as you're looking at your own chart or whatever, you can interpret better if you have more intuitive space into looking at it. Like, you bring your, all of that with you, and it's amazing. Like, the reveal, like the things that it reveals to you, and how you can use
Absolutely, yeah.
some of those tools to apply and to be like, now I get it. Of course it's like this. Of
Of
course my
course.
son and my husband, like, it's all fits together. It's amazing.
What am I learning to come on earth? What is this situation teaching me? What is this person who's my family member teaching me?
Totally.
Yeah, those are the things that we have to understand. So yeah, the soul contracts, that's a whole different topic and I love it.
Totally. I love the
I
soul contract.
love it. Well, to close this, Silvie, I am so glad we are still dancing on this earth together. We've been dancing since we're very young.
Totally.
Woohoo!
I
And now
remember. I
showing
remember.
humanity and teaching everyone a little bit about what we've learned, right?
Totally. See,
Yeah.
I love it. And thank you so much for bringing me on as your first guest of your every Tuesday lives. I'm
Every
so
Tuesday
honored.
at 8 p.m., I'm going to be live for everybody. And I'm going to have a YouTube channel, which is already on, Joyce Haddad. Search it. And it's going to be every week. I'm going to have incredible shows and podcasts and so forth. And so for those of you who are in Miami, I am having my next Untangled Talks, which is on a physical level, and it's a free event for the community, and it's going to be August 2nd. So join us to tell me your story. I love to, interact with the community here locally, and so then, and also building the digital community, which is important too. So we'll be on live again, Silvie. Let's
For
talk about a
sure.
next date.
Our
Another
next date.
date.
I love it. And for sure, for me too, I'm launching my YouTube series. I'm gonna, like, experiment and do. I already have, like, different series that I'm gonna put out, just to see what I'm really vibing with, and just experimenting, playing, which I love. And
Playing. We're
but
playing.
playing, you gotta play because we're source players. But also, you could, right now you can sign up to my email newsletter, but you get access to my Telegram community that I just started
Mm-hmm.
yesterday. So I'm
Woohoo!
excited. Instead of writing emails, which is not something that I don't, that doesn't, it
I
doesn't, I don't do it. I'm not like I don't like writing. I like talking and making videos and all that. So with Telegram, I'm going to be able to deliver that email newsletter as an audio. So
That's
I'm going to do
better.
that. For everybody, can go to my link on my bio, do that, and then stay tuned for the YouTube situation. So,
Yay! Want to thank you for joining me, and thank you for your presence and for your consciousness. It was
oh,
an
so
awesome,
yes,
awesome live.
yes,
Let's keep
yes.
playing
Love
on
you.
this beautiful place we call Earth, right?
Yes, let's do it. Let's do it. And let's keep
Let's
raising that
do
level
it. Let's
of
do it. For
consciousness.
those of you who are left on this live, or yes, and for those of you who are left on this live, and for those who are going to be watching after, my certifications for spiritual divorce will be out very soon. So stay tuned and stay connected. Bueno, Silvie, thank you. I know it's
Bueno,
early over there in LA, but
yes, dinner time.
there's no time. That's another topic we can talk about. There's no time. There's
No
no
time is
time.
good.
No.
Bueno, Yolita, I love you.
Bueno,
So,
mi Silvie, un beso, okay?
un
Love you,
beso.
honey. Take care,
Yeah.
and we'll talk
Okay.
soon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. Ciao.